I have two blockbuster trade targets I want to talk about here coming up on today's Philadelphia Eagles. Now, Howie Roseman should call the Dallas Cowboys about Micah Parsons. Allow me to explain coming up. And is a Maxx Crosby trade on the table? And could the Raiders go full sell mode after Davante Adams was traded to the New York Jets? All of that coming your way. But first, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button here on Eagles Now if you want Eagles shows every single day, year-round, that are informative, insightful, entertaining, thought-provoking, where you have a voice on the largest independently run Eagles channel right here on YouTube. On Monday, we picked up 55 new subscribers. Thank you to all of the real ones who did hit that sub button. On today's show, can we beat that number? We're always trying to compete with ourselves because competition brings the best out of everybody. And of course, you know the goal, 100,000 subscribers this year so that we can get that silver plaque from YouTube. Let's start the show and let's check in on the Dallas Cowboys. This is glorious. This is beautiful. This is amazing because the Cowboys, to start the 2024 season, are in disarray. There's a lot of drama around this organization, and they lost on Sunday in Week 6, 47-9 to the Detroit Lions, and they got completely embarrassed at home. And in Cowboys land right now, you have Mike McCarthy, who's a lame duck head coach. The seat beneath him is really hot, even hotter than Nick Sirianni's. And remember this offseason when I was in front of this camera on this microphone and I questioned what the heck the Dallas Cowboys were doing. And I threw out a term. Are the Cowboys secretly rebuilding? They signed no significant free agents. They brought in Ezekiel Elliott for his return. He's barely playing. They were able to poach Eric Kendricks away from the 49ers. And that was really it. And while I liked what they did in the NFL draft, they drafted some offensive linemen who I was a fan of in the pre-draft process, but they let go of some really good offensive linemen. But then they paid Dak Prescott. That's a win-now move. And they gave CeeDee Lamb a bag. That's a win-now move. And today on 105.3 The Fan, the Cowboys flagship radio station in Dallas, Jerry Jones had a wild, unhinged, odd interview where he threatened to replace the radio hosts who were asking him questions and pressing him about this 500 start for Dallas. And also remember this, going into the year, Jerry Jones said, we're all in for the 2024 season. Well, based upon the Cowboys' moves, their lack of talent on this roster, them bringing back Mike McCarthy after yet another ugly playoff no-show, it doesn't look like Dallas is all in, Jarrah. So I want to pivot to this portion of today's conversation. And I have talked about Micah Parsons and a potential trade of him or the Eagles bringing him in when he becomes a free agent on this show before. But I was listening to Colin Cowherd, my radio broadcasting idol, and John Middlecoff, who I think is one of the top NFL podcasters in the game right now. And they were talking during their Week 6 reaction about how the Cowboys are a joke. We can all be in agreement on that. And they talked about how the Cowboys paid Dak $60 million per year, richest contract in the history of the NFL. CeeDee Lamb got $34 million in average annual value. And Colin Cowherd proposed and theorized, should the Cowboys trade Micah Parsons? Is it getting to that point? Of course, a lot of you are going to say the Cowboys would never trade Micah Parsons within the division to the Philadelphia Eagles. And division trades are very rare. Although Philadelphia did trade Donovan McNabb to the Washington Redskins way back in the day. But what if Dallas gets desperate? And what if they get desperate to the point where they do rebuild? And Philadelphia or another team offers them a very handsome package for Micah Parsons because they don't envision a scenario in which they can pay Parsons and the offer is too sweet for Dallas to turn down. So obviously this is a dream scenario for Philadelphia, and it fits under the billing of a blockbuster trade target for the Eagles, but here's why a Micah Parsons trade could happen. And you think about all these reasons here, and I think that they're justified, and it could perhaps happen for Philadelphia, of course, in a dream scenario. Here is why a Micah Parsons trade could happen to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Cowboys have already paid Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. Can they afford to pay Micah Parsons $30+ million per year? Because he's going to be in the market for that type of contract as one of the top defensive players in the NFL. It looks like, based upon what the Cowboys have done, not what they've said, but Jerry Jones saying that we're all in, that they're secretly rebuilding or at least retooling the organization. Micah Parsons has Pennsylvania ties. He's from Harrisburg. He went to Penn State. He's followed the Eagles closely. He's enamored at some of the moves that Howie Roseman's been able to make. He's had Darius Slay on his podcast a couple of times the last couple of weeks. He couldn't believe that Quinyon Mitchell fell to the Eagles at 22. And we know that Howie Roseman spends aggressively along the defensive line, and he would be willing to pay a player of Parsons' caliber $30+ million per year because he loves building his team along the trenches. And for Howie Roseman, you invest in game changers. Just like if you're running a business and there's a candidate who you think can really move the bottom line and move your business forward, you will pay and sometimes overpay for that employee if they're able to put their fingerprints across your business operations for you to improve. And at 25 years old, Micah Parsons is a game changer. He is a needle mover, and he's one of the top game-changing defensive talents in the National Football League. Now, he did suffer an ankle injury a couple of years ago, so he's been limited to 4 games played here in 2024, has 1 sack, 6 quarterback hits, 2 TFLs, and 1 pass breakup, but he got off to a historic start in his NFL career when he was a first-round pick out of Penn State by the Cowboys, and he was my favorite defensive player in the NFL draft back in 2021. As a rookie, 13 sacks. Year 2, 13 and a half. Year 3, 14. And he is 5th all-time for the most sacks among all players in their first 3 years of their respective NFL careers. Reggie White at number 1 with 52. Mark Gastineau with the New York Jets with 47. Derek Thomas had 43 and a half sacks his first 3 years. Aldon Smith of the Niners, his career didn't end well, but it got off to a bang, 42, and Micah Parsons with 40 and a half. So far, with 1 game played in year 4, he has 41 and a half sacks to his name. Could it happen? Obviously, it's a long shot, but if I'm Howie Roseman, I'm operating my business in an aggressive manner. I'm trying to win another Super Bowl. I'm calling Jerry Jones. So let's all get together and wish a happy 82nd birthday to Jerry Jones. He celebrated his special day on Sunday, and as you can see, he watched on as the Dallas Cowboys got dump trucked by the Detroit Lions, and I thought that this image was so fitting. Jerry shook. It's his 82nd birthday. He announced that Formula One was coming to Arlington, Texas, and he's watching his Cowboys get drubbed 47-9 at this juncture of the game. Happy birthday, Jerry! How about them Cowboys? Dallas sucks. We all agree. And if you're with me and if you hate the Cowboys, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon, like the video, and type F Dallas right now. We'll talk Maxx Crosby coming up here just around the corner. But first, today's Philadelphia Eagles now sponsored by Game Time. I've grown up going to sporting events, being a diehard Philadelphia sports fan. And I think that when you go to a game, I love to experience the atmosphere, but also the camaraderie among fans. You can go with family members and friends, but you also meet new people. And regardless of what differences you might have, if the Eagles score a touchdown, you're looking to your right, you're looking to your left, you're looking in front of you, you're looking behind you, and you're high-fiving all those Eagles fans. So put together those great memories and celebrate together as one with the Game Time app. Best seats at the lowest price guaranteed. Game Time specializes in last-minute tickets. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. If you want to go to Eagles-Giants on Sunday at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, in the Meadowlands, plenty of tickets available. And you can test the Game Time theory, where the more that you wait up until the start of the event, the more that the prices drop. It really is incredible. So if you download the app, you create an account, and you use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, you get $20 off Terms apply. First purchase only. Game Time Picks is also awesome. This is not just an app for sporting events. You can go to concerts, comedy shows, theater events, and a whole lot more. Another trade target, that I have for the Philadelphia Eagles here on today's show is Maxx Crosby, the defensive end for the Las Vegas Raiders. And I mentioned him during the show last week following my sister's wedding when I did that show from the crib. And Maxx Crosby had taken to X, and he used an eagle emoji. So a lot of Eagles fans were theorizing, does Maxx Crosby want to get traded to the Philadelphia Eagles? Here's why that conversation has started to pick up momentum on this Tuesday, October 15th. The Raiders today traded Davante Adams to the New York Jets. So does that signal that Las Vegas is going to fully sell? And if the Raiders do fully sell and they trade one star in Adams, could they trade another star in Maxx Crosby? And in the process, could they stockpile picks to then use those picks to move up in the draft, depending on where they are in the draft order, to finally take their franchise quarterback? And I know that Derek Carr had an MVP caliber season back in 2016 before, unfortunately, he suffered a broken leg. But they really haven't had a franchise quarterback in a long time. Even when Rich Gannon led the Raiders to the Super Bowl back in 2003, I'm not sure, even though he won NFL MVP, he was a franchise guy because it's not like he was playing at an extraordinarily high level for a long time. So it has been a long while since the Raiders have had a franchise quarterback, and now they're desperate. They have Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew. They're both not it. Could the Raiders decide to rip everything down, completely rebuild, and start over? If I was the Raiders, I would think about that. Because when you're stuck in mediocrity in professional sports, oftentimes you're just not going to go anywhere anytime soon. And for Philadelphia, you would get an elite player who's actually pretty affordable over the next couple of years. In 2024, this year, he has a dead cap charge of $30 million, a base salary of $24.5 million. In 2025, the cap charge is $28.2 million. The base salary is $22.2 million. In 2026, the cap charge is $24.8 million, and then the base salary is $18.8 million. But when you look further at these contract details, as far as guaranteed money goes, when the new team would acquire him, $16 million would be owed to him in guaranteed cash. But in 2025, $23.1 in non-guaranteed money. 2026, $19.7 million in non-guaranteed money. And the Las Vegas dead cap charge, $13.6 this year, $10.2 in 2025. But if they get that great draft compensation back, maybe 2 first-round picks, maybe a first-round pick and a second, maybe 2 firsts and a second, is that worth it for the Raiders to use those picks to move up to take a quarterback, or use multiple first-round picks in order to rebuild their organization? Remember, they did trade away Khalil Mack to the Chicago Bears when he was one of the top edge rushers in the game. So it's not as crazy as it sounds. And if you're unfamiliar with Maxx Crosby's game, plays the game the right way. Plays with hustle, plays with attitude, plays with swagger, a nonstop motor. He will remind you in that manner of a Trent Cole, but he's better and a better sack producer than Trent Cole. In 88 career games, 57.5 sacks, 134 quarterback hits, 97 TFLs, 20 pass breakups, and his last 4 years, consistently productive. And when you're this productive at that edge rusher spot, and your dead cap charge is what it is, and your base salary is what it is, and your cap hit is what it is, like, that is worth it in my opinion. And honestly, Maxx Crosby would be a lot cheaper than Micah Parsons, who could dethrone Nick Bosa as the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of the NFL. And I'll tell you this, like, I've talked about a Maxx Crosby trade before. People are really funny, because when I've discussed a Maxx Crosby trade, people have said, Crosby isn't getting traded. He's the face of the Raiders, the heartbeat of that organization. Chase, he has Raiders tatted on him. We're going to act like people haven't gotten divorces after getting their partner's names tattooed on them before. Life changes. Circumstances happen. Things change. Just because Maxx Crosby has the Raiders logo tatted on him, because he appreciates the Raiders organization for drafting him and paying him doesn't mean he's always going to be a Las Vegas Raider. You could get your partner's name tatted on your pec. Does that mean you're going to be with that person forever? No, not necessarily. But if you do break up or you do have a divorce, what are you doing with that tat? Pick a pass rusher before we hop on out of here. MP for Micah Parsons. MC for Maxx Crosby. Let me know. Thank you so much for watching. And don't forget to hit that sub button.